Hey, pull up a chair. Come on in, get comfortable, and let's just sit down and have a completely real face to face chat about something that touches every single hour of your life, but almost nobody actually teaches you how to do right. I want to talk to you about your conversations. Look, I know you're out there trying to navigate a world that feels incredibly loud right now. You're trying to make friends, you're trying to build a network, you're trying to talk to people you find attractive, you're trying to kill it in job interviews, and you're trying to connect with your family. But if we're being completely honest behind closed doors, a lot of times talking to people feels exhausting, doesn't it? It feels like this clunky, awkward game of chess where you never quite know what move to make next. You leave a conversation and you find yourself overthinking everything you said, wondering if you sounded stupid or realizing that the other person was completely checked out, staring over your shoulder at their phone. We live in a culture that is absolutely obsessed with public speaking, charisma tricks, and looking important. The internet is flooded with these corny alpha male communication guides or clinical psychological hacks that tell you how to manipulate people with your body language or how to use specific power words to dominate a room. But I'm going to tell you the raw, unfiltered truth, man to man. All of that stuff is total garbage. It's fake, it's stressful, and people can smell it from a mile away. Real connection isn't an interrogation, it's not a sales pitch, and it's definitely not a performance where you stand on a stage trying to prove how interesting you are. A real, beautiful, memorable conversation is a dance. It's a shared experience that leaves both people feeling seen, heard, and energized. Right now, most people are completely losing the ability to have that experience, and it's stunting them socially, mentally, and professionally. So tonight, I want to break down exactly how you can fix that. I want to give you a simple, grounded blueprint to completely transform the way you talk to human beings, so you can walk into any room on this planet and build an immediate, genuine bond with whoever crosses your path. The absolute very first thing we need to fix, and this is the pillar that everything else stands on, is that you have to prioritize listening. I know that sounds like standard cliche advice your kindergarten teacher would give you, but stay with me for a second, because we need to look at how you actually listen. Most people do not listen to understand. They listen to reply. Think about the last time you were talking to someone and they were telling a story. What was happening inside your own head? While their mouth was moving, your brain was running at 100 miles an hour, completely detached from what they were saying, frantically digging through your own memory banks to find your own version of that story. You were thinking, oh, they went to New York. I went to New York too. As soon as they stop talking, I'm going to tell them about the time I got lost in Brooklyn. You are sitting there, nodding your head like a bobblehead, not processing a single syllable of their experience, just waiting for that tiny micropause in their breath so you can jump in and take the microphone back. That isn't a conversation. That's just two people taking turns giving monologues in front of each other. It's lazy, it's selfish, and it drains the life right out of the room. When you prioritize listening, you make a conscious, disciplined decision to completely clear your internal stage. You quiet the noise in your own mind, you set aside your own ego, and you focus the entirety of your awareness onto the person standing in front of you. You listen to the words they are choosing, you listen to the tone of their voice, you watch the expressions on their face, and you try to understand the emotion behind the story. When someone feels that level of pure, undivided attention from you, something magical happens in their nervous system. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted, giving someone your absolute presence is the rarest, most valuable gift you can offer. It instantly lowers their defenses, it makes them feel incredibly safe, and they will naturally start to open up to you in a way they don't with anyone else. You don't have to worry about being a brilliant talker if you have the discipline to be a brilliant listener. But look, let's be balanced here. Real listening doesn't mean you just stand there like a statue, staring blankly at them, letting them talk for 45 minutes without saying a word. That's not a conversation either. That's a therapy session. And you aren't getting paid $80 an hour for it. This is where the concept of balanced engagement comes into play. Think of a great conversation like a game of catch. If I throw the ball to you and you catch it, tuck it under your arm, and just walk away with it, the game is over. That's what happens when someone talks and never lets the other person speak. But on the flip side, if I throw the ball to you and you just let it hit you in the chest and drop to the grass without throwing it back, the game is also over. That's what happens when you give one-word answers or when you refuse to contribute your own energy to the mix. You need a beautiful, rhythmic 70-30 or 50-50 flow of energy moving back and forth. You achieve that balanced engagement by using what I call the loop of validation and curiosity. When someone throws the ball to you by sharing a thought or a story, your first job is to catch it by validating what they just said. Show them that you actually processed it. Repeat a keyword they used, or acknowledge the feeling behind it. Say something like, man, that sounds like it was an incredibly stressful week. Or, wow, I can't believe you actually managed to pull that off. Once you've validated it, you immediately throw the ball back by asking a question that deepens the topic, or by sharing a brief, relevant piece of your own life that connects to theirs. You don't take over the conversation, you just build a bridge. You keep the ball in motion, ensuring that neither person feels like they are doing all the heavy lifting or like they are being interrogated by a detective under a hot spotlight. Now, while you're keeping that ball in motion, I want you to become an absolute master at a skill I call treasure hunting. This is my absolute favorite way to navigate any conversation, and it turns talking to people into a genuine adventure. When you're listening to someone speak, I want you to stop looking for general facts and start hunting for clues. Specifically, you're hunting for the cues and the topics that make the other person suddenly light up, become enthusiastic, or radiate natural charisma. We all have these hidden pockets of passion inside us. For one person, it might be their vintage shoe collection. For another, it might be a specific type of philosophy or a miniature model building project they work on in their basement, or their dog, or a business they are secretly trying to build at night. When people are talking about their average day-to-day life, their generic job, the weather, the traffic, their energy is usually flat. They are just running on autopilot, saying the things they are supposed to say. But if you are paying close attention, they will occasionally drop a tiny accidental crumb of their true passion into the conversation. They might say, "Yeah, work was crazy this week, but honestly, I spent the whole weekend working on this track I'm producing, so that was cool. But anyway, back to my boss." Most people will completely ignore that crumb. They'll let it slide right past them and keep talking about the annoying boss. But an expert conversationalist, a true treasure hunter, will spot that crumb instantly, plant their feet, and dig. You stop them right there and you say, "Wait, hold on a second. You produce music? What kind of tracks are you making? How did you even get into that?" The very second you tap into that vein of genuine passion, the entire dynamic of the conversation shifts. You will literally watch their physical posture change. Their shoulders will drop, their eyes will widen, their voice will take on this beautiful, resonant energy, and they will start speaking with authentic charisma. Why? Because you just handed them permission to talk about the thing they actually love, instead of the superficial nonsense the world usually forces them to talk about. If you can become the person who consistently finds people's hidden treasures, they will leave every conversation with you feeling incredibly high on life. And they will associate that beautiful, warm feeling directly with your presence. But as you're doing this, you have to ensure that your own contribution to the conversation is completely genuine and relatable. Please, for the love of everything, drop the persona. Drop the cool guy act, drop the rapper swag pose if it's hiding who you really are, and stop trying to look like you have a perfect, unshakable life. There is nothing more exhausting than trying to have a conversation with someone who is constantly filtering themselves through a lens of how they want to be perceived. You know the type, the person who always has a better story than you, who has never made a mistake, who knows everything, and who responds to every vulnerable thing you say with a humble brag about their own achievements. It's completely clinical, it's cold, and it creates a massive icy wall between you and the rest of humanity. Real charisma is not about perfection. Real charisma is about vulnerability and relatability. It is about having the courage to show up as your flawed, authentic, unedited self. Don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. If someone mentions a complex topic or a book you've never heard of, don't nod your head and pretend you're an expert just to save face. Look at them with total security and say, "You know what? I've actually never heard of that. Break it down for me. What is that about?" People love being the teacher. It shows that you are secure enough in your own skin to admit your limitations. And when someone shares a struggle or an embarrassing moment or a failure, don't try to fix it, and don't try to look superior. Meet them right there in the dirt. Share a time when you completely messed up, or when you felt lost, or when you fell flat on your face. When you show someone your scars instead of just your trophies, you create an instantaneous, unbreakable human bond. You stop being a generic avatar floating through the social space, and you become a real, breathing brother in the trenches of life. Authenticity is the ultimate social lubricant. It sets everyone else in the room free to drop their masks too. Finally, let's talk about this skill that almost nobody talks about. But it's the difference between a legendary conversation and a social disaster. You have to know when to end it. Every single thing in nature has a lifespan, and conversations are no exception. They have a beginning, a middle, a peak, and a natural sunset. But because people are so anxious about being liked, or because they finally found someone who is listening to them, they don't know how to stop. They ride the conversation all the way to its peak. The energy is high. Everything's beautiful. And then they just keep talking. They drag it out past the expiration date. The topics run dry, the silence starts getting heavy, the other person starts shifting their weight from foot to foot, checking their watch, looking around the room, and giving polite, strained smiles. You have completely overwritten the beautiful memory of the peak with 20 minutes of awkward, dragging desperation. You don't want to leave a conversation when it's dead. You want to leave a conversation when it is at its absolute highest point of energy. When the laughter is loud, when the connection is clicking, when you've just hit a beautiful note of shared understanding, that is your exit cue. You take the steering wheel, you look them right in the eye, you smile warmly, you cut the cord yourself with absolute class and confidence. You say, "Man, I'm having an absolute blast talking to you, but I've got to run and handle something." Or, "Listen, I've got to go catch up with a friend over there, but this was incredible. Let's make sure we lock in your contact info before I head out, because we definitely need to continue this chat later." Boom. Just like that, you exit cleanly, leaving them wanting more. You leave them with a lingering appetite for your presence rather than a feeling of relief that you finally stopped talking. You preserve the integrity of the peak, and you ensure that the next time they see your name pop up on their phone or see your face in a room, their immediate instinctual reaction will be a rush of warm, positive energy. Listen to me. I want you to take a second and realize that every single massive door that is going to open in your life, every great business partnership, every lifelong friendship, every romantic relationship, and every moment of profound mentorship is sitting behind a conversation. Your ability to talk to people, to connect with them deeply, and to leave them feeling better than you found them is the single most powerful skill you can ever develop on this earth. It is a superpower, and it is completely within your control to master it. Stop treating talking like a performance. Stop trying to impress people. Stop overthinking your next line, and stop hiding behind a mask of who you think you're supposed to be. Walk into the world tomorrow morning with your eyes up, your shoulders dropped, and your heart open. Prioritize the human being in front of you. Listen to their story like it's the most fascinating thing you've ever heard. Hunt for their hidden treasures. Share your own flaws with total security and have the class to walk away while the energy is still sweet. You have a beautiful, unique voice, and the world is full of people who are desperately waiting to be heard by someone just like you. Go out there, put down the digital screens, step into reality, and go have some real, unforgettable conversations. I'm incredibly proud of you. I believe in you, and I am always, always in your corner. Now go show them how it's done.